What's dangerous is when the universe pick you and you put on the magic glasses. There's rules that go with them. You can never take them off. You never see things as they're supposed to be. You see things as they are. You can never force nobody else to wear them.
I think while I lie awake and contemplate tonight are wearing me out. Well, maybe tomorrow the world will wake and get it right, but I have my doubts, yeah. During the day, well, I design machines of war that scream through the sky. 'Cause I, for one, I like to go to bed free at night under these stars and stripes. And I have my doubts that we're coming out. Yes, I have my doubts, and I have my doubts that we'll make it back out. Yes, I have my doubts, but they'll wind you up and pull the cord until you're spun right out. And I don't understand. Roll the dice and raise the price to feed the machine's mouth. Call it the progress of man. And I have my doubt that we're coming out. Yes, I have my doubt. And I have my doubt that we'll make it back out. I have my doubts, so I'll drink my stuff and raise some hell and shoot my guns to the end of my time. You can have the booze and go to hell and take the guns, but I know they won't be mine. That we're coming out. Yes, I have my doubts, and I have my doubts that we'll make it back up. Yes, I have my doubts. So we're all messed up and out of touch. Let's text someone who's in the other room. So don't wonder why we don't say hi or know anyone. I might as well move to the moon. So maybe I'm wrong. Well, I hope that I'm wrong. So maybe I'm wrong. Well, I hope that I'm wrong. Well, the things I think while I lie awake and contemplate at night are wearing me out.
Good evening. Pardon me. coughing like crazy. Of course, you know, it must be the pollen or something. Probably the or something part. But anyway, hope everybody's having a good evening. Huh. I feel accomplished on some level today. Believe it or not. I had the luck of getting a little personal tutorial with software called Blender, and so that was like really cool. Someone, a true professional in the field, sat down and took some time with me to show me how to do really some very basic things in the software, because one thing about the software world, and it seems to be the more complex the software, the more this is the case. Even doing a simple little task that you might think would be really super simple involves knowing things like, what they call stuff. Because some things may not, be called what you would think they would be called, but anyway, so I was just really having a block on trying to figure out that software, and when I would go to, say, YouTube to look for tutorials, I would absolutely find tutorials, and I'm sure those tutorials did a lot of good for the people that was trying to do what they were giving a tutorial about, which apparently is something different than what I wanted to do. Because what she had showed me earlier, man, was it super simple. But I had to know where to go to do what in order to cause the action or the effect that I was looking for. So it's basically needing to know where to look and where to do this and that at. So anyway, I immensely appreciate that help today. Then she turned me on to yet another software that I was completely unaware of, and it blew my mind because it's Adobe, and I love Adobe. Adobe has a Substance Painter program that is specifically designed to texture 3D models. That's what it's for, specifically what it's for. Blender, you can do all of the above. You can create it and all that. So, from my understanding, it will be much, much more beneficial for me just to use this Adobe Substance Painter instead of trying to do it the whole Blender route and all of that stuff. So, still a lot to learn. I mean, we're talking even the tiniest little bitty scratch. You couldn't even probably see it with a magnifying glass. The depth of the scratch that I put in it today. But I'm on my way, and I can now actually do something that I've been trying to do for years. And I can do it in a matter of seconds now. So that's really, really cool. My big thing, and I'll get off the topic, is say you want to do a camouflage paint job on a plane. Well, I edit in Photoshop, and so it's just a 2D square image that I'm editing. So if I wanted to give it a camouflage paint job, then wherever the wings and fuselage, now all that is on that square image, is where I have to apply the camouflage. So let's just say I take a square camouflage picture and slap it on there and make it so Captain. That's all good, but it's not going to line up on the aircraft because it's not applying that texture on the model, as in wrapping it around the model. So in other words, everything will be, when you get to the different parts of the plane, nothing will be matched up with the other like you would normally see it, because you normally match lines up and stuff. So I was never able to do that before, and I've been doing this since around 2008 or so. And all that time, I have never been able to say do a camouflage paint job correctly because of not being able to line it up, because I didn't know how to apply that paint job or that texture, that image, to the model itself. Now I can. So it's a big deal for me. That's like a huge deal for me. So that's cool. I mean, you gotta figure, how many years has it been? Few. So, and see, that's how if I am really struggling to learn something, the absolute best way I can learn it is just give me a little bit of time with somebody that knows it, because I may not know the right terminology for things. Because I am in some aspects a hillbilly redneck kind of person. And so I may not know all the specific terms or titles for something. I might understand the concepts, completely understand what it is somebody's referring to, but just not know the proper name for it. And sometimes that makes hell for trying to learn how to do stuff. And so when I can speak to another human being back and forth, they can say, hey, no, dumbass, that's called this. And then it helps out a tremendous amount. So and I think she picked up on that today when she was helping me. I think she picked up on that real quick, that I was looking for terms. They were specific. I was looking for the term. And so she started pointing out the specific terms for things, so I knew what I was, the right name to call what I was looking for. So that I much appreciated. It goes by Artsy. And I know she makes 3D web spaces for people for like VR. So, actual like virtual rooms. Like she showed me a nightclub that she had done, which was really cool. She showed me some other like rooms that would be like living rooms, for instance. Really, really cool stuff. So, and that's what she does. She does that for a living. That's her job. So that's pretty cool. Let's see. Okay. I do have, let's see, it looks like 6 articles open to speak on. And then the headlines, of course. I don't know on this whole North Korea thing. I feel foolish to just wave it off and not pay it any attention. Because there is one thing for sure about North Korea. At this point in time, they're capable. And that's what counts. That's what matters. In fact, they aren't just capable, they are highly capable. North Korea now possesses hypersonic weapons in which the U.S. still doesn't possess. They have MIRV technology, which is the multiple entry vehicle technology. Man, that's all it takes. That's all it takes. All they got to do is launch one of them. And the chances of us being able to stop it, pretty much nil, to be real honest. And we're going to get to that. I've actually got an article that's going to discuss that in quite some detail here. Ukraine struggling to intercept Russian missiles. So, you'll get a little bit of a better understanding as to what the issue with the hypersonic missiles are. Howdy, Angel. You're just in time, brother. I was yakking on about painting planes for a while. And I can't resist talking about that stuff. Oh, sweet. Hang on, I gotta check these out. Fire Marshal Bill has been busy painting. I showed him the very, very basic of the basics to get him painting aircraft, and he's figuring it out pretty quick. That's awesome. I've got to show him what I was shown in Blender today, so he knows how to line up his textures too. So, let's see. Alright, nuclear war is imminent, says North Korea. And like I said, I don't want to... I would like to be able to just laugh it off, but I'm not foolish. I think out of all the damn countries on the planet that we should be concerned about doing something like that, North Korea is at the very top of that list for me. Very top. Above and beyond anyone else. Because, you know, old little Kim doesn't let anybody tell him what to do. That's a fact. And I think he would continue that, because I think that's who he is. People may joke about him and stuff like that, and that's all good. But there is one thing that is for certain, and it might be because he's crazy, whatever the case may be, why. But he is damn well not going to let anybody tell him what to do. And that includes China, that includes Russia. I do believe that China and Russia have both been helping out North Korea immensely. And I don't necessarily mean just in military technology, but that way as well. Clearly. I mean, come on. They got hypersonic weapons. Come on. North Korea didn't... I do not feel foolish to say that North Korea didn't figure that out on their own. I don't feel foolish to say that. Because that's some pretty insane stuff right there. It is. The Pentagon's still and will be scratching their heads with what they saw with China's launch for a long time to come. And believe me, they're going over every single bit of data that they can get when it comes to what's going on in Ukraine. Again, we will get to that a little bit more in a moment. This here says the world is just a step away from a nuclear conflict, North Korean Defense Minister General Kang Sun-nam said in a statement made public on Tuesday and presented at the Z Moscow International Security Conference. The official blamed Washington's desire for regime change in Pyongyang for ratcheting up tensions. He also accused the U.S. of increasing its military presence in the region by deploying nuclear-capable aircraft and a submarine to the area. Now, the question is not if a nuclear war breaks out on the Korean Peninsula, but who and when it starts, Kang warned. In this year alone, the U.S. sent massive strategic arms to the region, including a nuclear-capable submarine, an aircraft carrier group, and a nuclear-capable bomber, he added. The U.S. Navy Carrier Strike Group 11, led by its flagship, the aircraft carrier USS Nimitz, arrived in a South Korean military port in late March, soon after Pyongyang unveiled its new, smaller nuclear warheads, which can supposedly be mounted on short-range ballistic missiles. Let's see. In late June, a U.S. B-52 strategic bomber took part in the joint drills with South Korea. Just 2 weeks later, America also deployed its Ohio-class ballistic missile submarine, the USS Kentucky, to South Korea. Armed with 20 Trident II ballistic missiles, the undersea vessel carries a total of 80 nuclear warheads. The U.S., which has been waging a hostile state policy against North Korea for 80 years, blatantly interferes with the independent development and security interest of the North and pushes the situation in northeastern Asia to the brink of nuclear war, King said. Washington has to admit to its belligerent policy against Pyongyang and abandon its confrontational approach if it truly wants to resolve the crisis in a peaceful way, he added. Until America does that, any dialogue is impossible, he maintained, which means military force remains the only way to secure peace and stability on the Korean Peninsula. The general stated that all claims by the U.S. and its allies about their willingness to resolve the issues around the peninsula through negotiations were nothing but an empty echo, and the only way to prevent nuclear wars for Pyongyang to possess military means of deterrence. Kang also declared that North Korea would no longer consider U.S. drill suspensions or other similar steps to be genuine manifestations of goodwill by the U.S., Washington would need mere days to send its strategic bombers and nuclear submarine back to the peninsula and can redeploy its military contingent there in half a month, even if it fully withdraws from South Korea, the general believes. We are well aware of the fact that the aggressive intention of the U.S. is to strip us of our nuclear weapons and destroy our system through brute force cannot be changed even in the slightest, he said. The general's words came just days after North Korean leader Kim Jong-un ordered heightened preparations for war, including increasing the production of weapons. He also called for the top officers to carry out drills with the country's latest weaponry to ensure that the troops are ready for potential conflict. The move was taken ahead of a planned major joint military exercise by U.S. and South Korea. So, again, I don't want to just write off North Korea. And I think it's a foolish thing. A very, very, very foolish thing to do so. I really do. There's not a lot of countries that I will sit there and tell you aren't a part of the global cabal. There are only 2 countries on this planet that I can tell you are not a part of the global cabal. Those 2 countries are North Korea and Iran. Anybody else? Nah. I see a whole bunch of stuff that's too much lockstep. It's pretty obvious. Nor Korea nor Iran play that game. In fact, if you paid close attention during the whole COVID thing, North Korea and Iran were both very independent on how they dealt with it. They were trying to deal with it. In fact, I don't believe North Korea really even believed it to begin with. And in fact, if the information I heard was true and correct, it was a pretty serious deal in the beginning in North Korea. Simply because of the numbers of people that had it. And they just really were hesitant about even, I mentioned earlier about how Kim Jong-un won't necessarily do what China or Russia tells him to do, because he was resistant and hesitant when it came to anything with COVID, and Iran was as well. So, and then they finally gave in, and I believe, I can't speak for Iran, but I think North Korea started getting their vaccines from either Russia or China. I can't remember which one, but they did start a vaccination program in North Korea. Iran, I couldn't tell you. I don't know. I don't know if they ever started a thing there or not for vaccines. I don't know. I have no idea. Don't remember. Probably heard sometime or another. I just don't recall it. However, to speak a little more to what I was talking about a moment ago, and this is why you do not want to downplay the threat from any country that has hypersonic weapons. This is going to explain why. Title is Ukraine struggling to intercept Russian missiles. It's becoming increasingly difficult for Ukrainian troops to intercept and shoot down Russian missiles, the country's Air Force spokesman Yuri Ignat told U.S. state-run outlet RFE/RL on Tuesday. Projectiles launched by Moscow's forces are capable of changing course in a matter of seconds, thereby becoming invisible to Ukraine's air defenses, he admitted. The Russian military is now employing more sophisticated tactics, planning their strikes, programming the missile courses to bypass air defenses in the most effective way and use weak spots, he said. The projectiles are constantly changing course, he explained, adding that a Ukrainian air defense serviceman can barely write 3 words to describe the incoming rocket's trajectory before it has already changed. Then it changes direction once more, and again, he said. In one such case, the Russian missiles flew as far as Ukraine's westernmost Lviv region before turning back and striking a military airfield in Kaminsky region in the country's center. Additionally, at some point, a Russian rocket can disappear from the radars and become invisible to radio locators for a certain period of time, he pointed out. According to the Air Force spokesman, Russian drones are now also going in circles to make Ukrainian air defenses lose track of them. Kiev is currently employing some of the supposedly top-notch air defense systems supplied to it by Washington and its allies. The list includes the U.S.-made Patriot and German-made Iris-T air defense systems. Over the course of the ongoing conflict, the West has poured extensive military and financial aid into Ukraine, with the U.S. alone allocating around $100 billion. Western nations have also repeatedly stated that they consider air defense a priority when providing military aid to Kiev. In late July, Ignat admitted that Moscow had a significant advantage over Kiev in terms of electronic warfare. Russia had plenty of powerful systems, he said at the time, conceding that Ukraine started late in this regard. Such systems are especially good at intercepting enemy's drones and forcing them to go down, the Russian Defense Ministry regularly reports downing Ukrainian drones without firing a shot. So, what folks need to understand is the same missile defense systems that Ukraine has deployed right now is our missile defense systems. That's it. They clearly haven't given lots of areas of significant weaponry. And when I say that, I mean, they've given them a shit ton of stuff. Don't misunderstand that. But it's been much, much less sophisticated equipment. They're not giving them the latest, greatest stuff. But when it comes to the air defense systems, that's the same, yo. That Patriot missile defense system is the same damn Patriot missile defense system that Turkey had, that God knows who else has had, right? Exact same one. So, I'm not real confident that if we got into combat with Russia, that we're going to even be able to wipe our asses. Because That's what hypersonic weapons do. They switch course. You can't keep track of them. They do so autonomously. I mean, it's just insane. Once they push that button, that set it and forget it button, that's what it is. Set it and forget it. Good luck defending against that crazy mind of its own thing. That's how they work. Very effective. And then when you introduce several hypersonic glide vehicles, for instance, with a MIRV, and you've got dozens of those things coming down on your country, gonna be a bad day, Tater. It's crazy. It is crazy. I am not a fan. I mean, what the hell? What's the purpose? What did I do? Right? And speaking to that, you know, over the course of time, all this going on with Russia and Ukraine and all that, and more other countries are starting to sanction what I would pretty much consider just ordinary Russians. Now, when I'm saying that, these aren't your total average everyday Russian. These are some of the business owners and stuff like that. But these folks aren't involved in the conflict. They're just Russian citizens. And you've got other nations that are taking stuff from innocent Russian citizens. That's bullshit. Stop and you think about that. How would you feel? How would you feel if somebody did that to you? It's messed up. It is truly, seriously messed up. Anywho, this is another thing that I'm kind of warning on two different levels here, okay? One of them has to do with what I was just saying about how I think it's kind of unfair to target any kind of sanctions on the average everyday Russian citizen, because that would be like companies targeting you and I for what dumbass Joe does. That's not cool. That's not cool. What can we do? Shit, we can't even get an honest election, right? Bite me, YouTube. Mercedes disconnects Russian customers. Now this is a topic that I've actually spoke on for quite some time, and the ones who really brought it to my attention was the farmers, actually. The amount of control that these manufacturers have over this, whether it be your car or whether it be a farm equipment, is unbelievable. Like, right now, Mercedes, if it wanted to, it could shut every one of them damn cars off. Without taking out the proper computer and installing a different computer with different programming and all that. They can shut that car down. It won't do diddly. Man, that is not cool. And again, I'm not speaking on just the level of doing that to the Russian citizens just because what the government's doing. That's bullshit on one level. But where you need to be most concerned is the fact that it can happen to you right now, today, as well. They don't have to do anything more. Everything's already there. If you've got even a remotely relatively new vehicle, everything's already there. Even if you don't pay for the services and all that good stuff, doesn't mean they can't access it, just means you can't. They still have every bit of ability they had before, whether you have an open account with their services or not. So this is something folks need to seriously think about. Stay away from that stuff if you can. Cars, tractors, whatever. Smart devices are not where you want to go. I promise you that. And I am a tech guy. I am like a tech nutcase. I love tech. I think tech is the coolest stuff. But tech is also very, very dangerous. It's careful. You have to be very, very careful who you give control of what type of tech. We already give up the goose way too much. Just our smartphones alone. I mean, you want to talk about an Achilles heel. Holy hell. Anyway. That's why I laugh at any time things come up like, say, people fearmonger about DJI drones. Oh, they're Chinese drones, blah, 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 blah. It's like, dude, you're carrying a Chinese phone around in your pocket everywhere you go. I don't think the Chinese, the PLA, I really don't think they're real interested in my sunset pictures, yo. I mean, they might think they're pretty too, but I think that they're PLA, I think they probably got other things they're looking for, not Midwest sunsets. So, but hey, maybe there's a hopeless romantic among them. Who knows? By the way, there are several different fields that I wouldn't go into because, well, they're just too dangerous. I would never be an underwater welder because your ass is going to die in a short amount of time if you're an underwater welder. So I wouldn't be an underwater welder. Right now, there is something else that I would not be, and that would be an Ecuadorian politician, because them fuckers seem to have a hard time breathing. Holy cow, this is insane. This is the third one, folks, the third one. Don't run for office in Ecuador. And if you do, make sure that you got like a 6-inch thick steel box you can hide in until election day. Ecuadorian local party leader Pedro Briones was shot dead by gunmen in his home in northern Esmeraldas province on Monday in what appears to be the latest in a string of politically motivated assassinations in the country. So here's the thing. Oh, I don't know what happened to everybody. You could try to refresh and see if they come back. Oh, I don't know what happened. I still see the chat there, but yeah, just refresh it. Sometimes it glitches out, so you can just refresh and might pop back. Yeah, this guy, it says fatal shooting Briones came just 5 days after presidential candidate Fernando Villavicencio, I can't say it right, was murdered in broad daylight in the capital Quito last Wednesday. Villavicencio, an outspoken opponent of rising levels of organized crime and corruption in the country, was polling third ahead of Sunday's snap presidential election. Luisa Gonzalez, a frontrunner in the August 20 election for the Citizen Revolution Party, of which Briones was also a member, claimed on social media that Ecuador is experiencing its bloodiest era before offering a heartfelt hug to the family of colleague Pedro Briones, fallen by the hands of violence. Gonzalez told the Associated Press that she had beefed up her own security detail following the assassinations, but refused to wear a bulletproof vest. I have faith in God, she said. He is the one who takes care of us. Yeah, you know how he's trying to take care of you? By inventing bulletproof vests. Don't be a dumbass. Wear it. Former Ecuadorian President Rafael, sorry, my son's name is Rafael, so it's kind of hard for me to say Rafael. Rafael Correa, founder of the Citizen Revolution Party, added that they murdered another of our colleagues in Esmeraldas. Enough is enough. Authorities did not elaborate on the specific circumstances of Brion's murder, but local media reported that he was shot dead by gunmen who later fled on a motorcycle. So, this is really an insane time in Ecuador. And, you know, I cannot tell you that our nation won't ever go there. I can't. I thought I could several years ago. I thought I could have told you that, but I'd have been wrong. I'd have been absolutely wrong, because there's many, many ways in which this country has slid that I would have never believed in a million years. Nope. Nope, nope. Especially what they're doing with the military. Nope. La, la, la. I don't know, somebody driving by, music turned up. Decided to sing along to it, don't know what it was. So this is crazy, right? I mean, this is really crazy. So this dude, right? He's armless and he's a cyclist. He I think he's participated in the Paralympics and whatnot. This is the 2023 UCI World Championships is what this was. Now apparently, and I think the information might be a little bit wrong, because the information says that the gentleman's arms were amputated at the wrist, but the gentleman I see doesn't even have near a wrist. So, I mean, I don't think that's quite correct. However, the prize that the young man won for his efforts, was wristwatches. So I'm not quite sure what he plans on doing with his winnings. I don't know. Maybe, I mean, to be honest, he probably wears a watch on his ankle. And I'm not joking. I wouldn't be shocked to hear that he wears a watch on his ankle. Not even a little bit shocked. Oh, I never did switch back over. Sorry. Well, that's the picture. Sorry. All right. She's trying to look all innocent laying over there. I don't believe it. I know better. I know how ornery it is. Today was an exciting day. Took trash out, mowed the grass. There was so much excitement here today. All right. Zelensky tells Ukrainians to avoid bars and clubs. Yep. I would tell them to avoid bars and clubs because you're going to pick them up to make them join the military. That's what I would tell them. Trump slapped with more criminal charges. Pentagon unveils another arms package for Ukraine. Oh, that was actually up. Russian nuclear giant ramps up supplies to friendly states. Trans powerlifter sets unofficial women's world record. Well, then it didn't set shit, did it? Mercedes, covered that. U.S. blocking Russians from key Pacific forum, says Moscow. Russian central bank announces major interest rate hike. Ruble strengthens as central bank takes action. Christian leaders unveil inflatable church for Russian soldiers. Hey, if it works, go for it. Hey, those like inflatable tents, those look pretty cool, actually. You know, I'm not saying that they're your SHTF nuclear bomb shelter. I'm just saying, for what they are, they don't look too bad. They're not a nuclear bomb shelter. Ruble strengthens as central bank takes action. Let's see. Oh, actually, I think I read that one. Some Soviet weaponry still better than modern Western equivalents. Probably. UK should admit role in Iran coup, says ex-foreign secretary. UK unemployment hits 2-year highs, says data. Western military dominance has ended, says Moscow. That's a fact. The sad part of it is, a lot of that's over greed. Because like the other headline was saying, you know, some Soviet weaponry still better than modern Western equivalents. That's true. Because it's the way that business and the the West military-industrial complex, because what it is it's all about making money. And so when they debut these weapons, when they show these weapons to these politicians that are going to buy them, I'm sure it looks pretty damned impressive. But then, when the deal gets accepted and all the paperwork signed, then these people that own these companies that produce these weapons start trying to find the cheapest ways they can produce them. And they no longer retain the ability or the capability that they did before. And that's just the sad truth of all American manufacturing. And it's true for pretty much all manufacturing. But it's dangerous when it's your nation's defense that is at risk. And I think it's really, really, really not a good idea for the American citizen to puff their chest out about the U.S. military right now. And it's not because I don't love the country. It's not because I don't want the country to be able to kick anybody's ass. It's because I'm a realist. And I've got eyes. And I've got ears. And a brain. I read. And I do so. And when your new male recruits most threatening decision is which high heels he's going to pick for tomorrow's whatever they do. Go swimming. I don't know what they do now. Yeah. I don't think we should puff our chests out right now. We really don't have a reason to. And it's sad. I don't like to say it. I don't want to say it. But I'm not going to lie. I'm not here to make people feel good. I'm here to give you the news, give you information, tell you straight. I don't have a lot of hopium here to smoke. So make sure you stock up on the weed. Just saying. Anywho, moving on. Attempted Ukrainian saboteur incursion into Russia foiled, says governor. China on track to become world's top car exporter, says Moody's. That's not surprising. Soros to shut down most EU projects, says Reuters. Ukrainian police launch new raid on Christian monastery, says priests. And that is a bunch of BS. NATO could have expansion plans in Asia, says Putin. U.S. teen charged in terrorism probe. China and India playing into West's hands, says BRICS originator. And I don't know. I didn't read the article. I don't know how much validity that has. EU gas prices surge. West isn't pressing Ukraine to look for peace, says Kiev. Chinese magic mushrooms had no impact on me, says Janet Yellen. Because there was a big ordeal because she went over there and ate a bunch of magic mushrooms. But from my understanding, if they're prepared correctly, you don't get high. And the article or whatever that I saw regarding it was so messed up because they were all like, you have to make sure that you cook them just right so that there are no remaining effects, and it made it sound like, oh, you got to get it just right, don't, and I'm sure this was like a top-notch restaurant that she was eating at. I'm pretty sure they knew how to cook the mushrooms. Just saying. There's people that will run with anything they can, and they're silly fools is what they are. Germany pledges to bankroll Ukraine's military, says media. FSB exposes NATO states' spying operation against Moscow. Let's see. Ukraine struggle. Oh, cover that. Ukraine could give up territory to Russia, says a NATO official. That's kind of the whole damn point of the whole conflict. Was more or less like they annexed Crimea. They pretty much want to annex, Lugansk and Donetsk, and I don't know if there's Kherson or if that's a different region. I don't know, but it's my understanding that the people that live in this area want to be a part of Russia. That's the same thing that I keep posing every time it comes up, because it's like, okay, man, I really hope our government don't get us nuked with their ignorance. But again, I don't know that this ain't all working together to make us demand peace, so they come and, it seems like there's a book that says that's going to happen, so I keep looking out for it. Kennedy comments on U.S. biolabs in Ukraine. Covered that. Ukraine responds to NATO officials' land for membership comment. CIA protecting someone by hiding JFK documents, says RFK Jr. Well, yeah. Most Germans do not trust the state, says a poll. Ex-FBI agent admits collusion with Russian tycoon. And lastly, North Korea says U.S. soldier defected because of racism. Okay, I have to speak to that before I close the show. Because, no bruh. So, this cat was involved in some activity before all this. This soldier was facing imminent prosecution for crimes committed while being a soldier. It wasn't racism that he's running from. It's his crimes that he's running from. And I just want to make that very damned clear. Because, come on now, homie. Yeah, dude apparently is a grade A F up. And he escaped before they could bring his ass back to the States and charge him. He escaped, and that's what he did. He ran across the North Korean border. So, let him go, I say. Let him go. And that dumbass thinks that he's home free. Just write him off. Goodbye, son. Goodbye. Anyway, I am going to get the hell out of here because I can. And, God willing, I'll be back tomorrow with even more nonsense. And I hope to see you then. So, as always, have a good evening. God bless you. We love you. Be one with your spirit. And shalom.